There was a definite sense in the campaign and in the debates that Trump saw the potential.
Damn, Brandon cooking his ass. Bro, he had COVID here, by the way. Isn't that crazy? He had COVID right here, didn't he? He had the COVID secretly.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen,
who is on your list, Joe?
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Sure. Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
Bro, he doesn't have this can smoke 4 years later, by the way, which is kind of wild. And he was old as shit back then, too. Bro was old as shit even then.
God. Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
That's extraordinary. It's extraordinary to think that 73 million people were watching that and hoping to get some answers about which way they should vote come November.
It's Tuesday, the 29th of September, 2020, and Donald Trump is about to face off against his Democratic rival, Joe Biden. The debate takes place in Cleveland, Ohio, with just 5 weeks left until Election Day, and Donald Trump is trailing in the polls. There are accusations that he's mishandled the coronavirus pandemic, which up to this point has cost the lives of more than 200,000 Americans.
Someone actually brought something really interesting up. It's a little bit of a lib take, but the fact that Trump didn't visibly age during his tenure shows how much he cared. Not a lot. I kind of agree with you. Am I crazy? I feel like you watched Obama perish. You watch every president literally in the 4-year sequence in the first 4 years, like genuinely become tarnished, right? Like you watch the soul get sucked out of them. Donald Trump, on the other hand, he was just kind of chilling, dude. What is that? Nah, compare 2015 to 2020 night and day, maybe. Hit me with the old ass video, chat. Give me an old video from like 2015, 2016. He did golf a lot. Like he golfed so much. This motherfucker wouldn't read the press briefings in the morning. He's like, no, I'm good. Yeah.
Problems. And they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs.
Bro, this shit's not that different, bro.
Bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting.
He looks skinnier now because I think he's on that Ozempic, but podcast as we are starting. Here's your video on the 2020 debates. Yeah, look at that fucking stack.
You guys are going to watch it on your end, right? On C-SPAN.
Yeah. With Osita Nwanevu, Ryan Grimm, David Weigel, Austin Show, Moon. 80,000 people watching. Fuck, man. Those were the days, baby. There were definitely moments in the 2020 election, though, that like where Trump was not all there for sure. Like in the 2020 re-election cycle, like I remember him like, not to pull a David Pakman here, but like there were certainly a lot of instances where he just did not look like he had he had his shit aligned. You know what I mean? He got COVID. Like he was definitely fucked up. Having said that, however, the difference between him and like 2015 is not all that significant with how he is now. I mean, he has like some moments, but that is kind of crazy. I guess it does kind of prove that he just did not give a shit about being president at all. Like, he just did not do any of the fucking job requirements.
In March.
I don't know. Did I hold a rally? I'm sorry, I hold a rally. Did I hold a rally?
The threat of the virus looms over this event. It takes place without a public audience, just family members and campaign staff. There are no handshakes, and the podiums are staged a safe distance apart.
Why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have.
Oh my God. They're both taking a pro lockdown position. I forgot about that. That's wild, dude. Trump is also pro-vax, which is kind of funny. Man, how the turntables, baby.
Closed it for another 2 months.
I think covering the 2020 election was different to previous campaigns for lots of reasons. Of course, COVID was in the air.
And you think the enthusiasm is still there?
Oh, it definitely is. Definitely.
It was all very unusual in how we had to work, how we had to interact, while this huge story was also going on around us.
I just want to get Trump out of office.
Simple as that.
Yep.
Whether people liked what he was doing or loathed what he was doing, no one was on the fence about Donald Trump when it came to the election in 2020.
We got the gowns, we got the masks, we made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators, and now we're weeks away from a vaccine to be
This
delivering
is the
the
same
vaccine.
man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically,
That was
and you know that.
I think there was a definite sense in the campaign and in the debates that Trump saw the potential.
Damn, Brandon cooking his ass, bro. He had COVID here, by the way. Isn't that crazy? He had COVID right here, didn't he? He had the COVID secretly, which is wild to consider. God damn, dude. Dude, our elections are fucking crazy, bro. Trump looks worse nowadays. I mean, he just kind of, I feel like the deterioration is nowhere near as significant as Brandon.
For the pandemic to be an existential threat to the suggestion that he downplayed the risks of COVID.
Coronavirus, right? Kung flu, yeah. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. Looks like by April, you know, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculous.
It was so fucking funny when you think about it. Because, like, at the time, Republicans were making it seem like if you say Kung Flu and just, like, shit on random Asian people in America for doing COVID, like, that's the best way to combat COVID. Like, they literally were holding on to that shit. Like, they were defeating COVID by just, like, yelling at Asian people.
Goes away. I hope that's true.
For Biden, there was an opportunity because if the more Trump suffered in the polls, the more Biden would profit from that.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you
done.
didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down.
Yeah, that used to also hurt my brain. I was like, Republicans are operating on so much cognitive dissonance that they're bringing up points that are literally bad for them, mathematically speaking, but it doesn't even fucking matter because, like, they would just be like, yeah, that's right. So many people died famously during the swine flu. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, that's a point that the Democrats are supposed to make towards the Republicans. At the time, I was like, what is happening? And then the Republicans are supposed to say, hold on, what are you talking about? It was nowhere near as as fast spreading as COVID was.
As much as COVID was
How do you think Biden would have handled the COVID crisis? Definitely better than Trump. 100%. Especially because it's 2016. There was been 2016 era Biden coming all the way into 2020. He absolutely would have been better than Trump. They would have been unimaginably restrictive from the jump. First of all, they wouldn't have defunded certain parts of the CDC, like, pandemic prevention, things like that. Like, it's not even a question. I am not even remotely, I don't even for a moment doubt that. Like, I don't think there's a debate there. You don't have to be like a Brandon Dick Rider to recognize that. Vaccines aren't free. Tests are expensive as hell. COVID is still here. No one is masking. Biden's America. Yeah, but you cannot compare fucking pre-vaccine COVID to post-vaccine COVID. Like the pre-vaccination COVID was a moment of like sheer panic for understandable reasons. Not to say that COVID has gone away. Not to say that COVID has gone away. It certainly has not, and you're absolutely correct. But there is a dramatic difference between like when you got COVID, like the likelihood that you were gonna die was pretty fucking high. So high that we were literally putting people, so many people were dying, we were putting them in fucking freezer trucks and shit. In comparison to like the reason why people don't talk about COVID as much any longer is because there are significantly better treatment measures. There are significantly better, like, there's vaccines. Anyway.
Was a backdrop to the whole election. So, of course, was the issue of racial justice and
Are COVID tests and vaccines not free in the U.S.? Not any longer, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. But
the killing of George Floyd and the anger that provoked around the country. It was an issue that both candidates had to face up to.
And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred.
You have treated the African-American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990s, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that.
There was a moment in the first debate where Donald Trump was asked.
This is another one that's like so stupid. Bro, during the crime panic, the Democrats, including Joe Brandon, were definitely being Jim Crow Joe. You were somehow outflanking them. You took a fucking full page ad of the New York Times to be like, the Central Park Five need to be executed immediately. Like, that's crazy to me. Again, like, Trump has this capacity to trigger like this thing in my mind where I'm just like, are we insane? And I do suspect a lot of people like me who are interested in potentially voting for Joe Biden, unlike myself, will look at this and be reminded as to why they voted for Joe Biden last time around. I will not be, but I know that there are probably a shit ton of people who will see the race between a convict and a cadaver and go, okay, maybe the cadaver ain't so bad. And I think that's precisely, you're not voting. I didn't say I'm not voting. Should always vote. I love voting. Voting is good, especially for your local candidates, your state representatives, ballot measures. There's a lot of good shit to vote for. Yeah, convict and cadaver is genius. Thank you. I came up with that this morning. Yo, shit's looking like a fucking DND campaign, okay? On the one side, dude, necromancers are holding him up on both accounts. You got like, this is some like Elden Rings type shit. Like a 700-year-old like molester versus a 750-year-old also molester.
To condemn white supremacists. And he managed not to do that.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing
to
do
specifically
that,
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing. What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
Who would
right
you like me to condemn?
white supremacists and right-wing
Proud
militia.
Boys. stand back and stand by, but I'll tell you what.
By suggesting they should stand back and stand by, what many people saw as a call to arms for white supremacists, which was an extraordinary moment in a country going through what it was going through at the time.
So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me.
I think Trump, in everything in his presidency, worked on instinct. I don't think there was much preparation for this debate.
Folks,
absolutely
folks, do you have any idea what this clown's doing?
Trump likes to believe that he can think on his feet and get out of any scrape, but he also wants to have the last word.
People forget that who gets voted in gets to appoint up to 3 Supreme Court justices. Do we really want the court to skew Republican even harder? Dude, it's already a super majority. It's so Jover. What do you mean? When people say that, I'm like, are they seeing something I don't know? Like, do they know some shit? Are these motherfuckers dying or what? I can't wait for a potential Biden re-election where the Republican Party actively stops him from appointing seats, appointing Supreme Court justices because it's his second term. Oh, that'd be so funny.
Chris, can I be honest? It's a very important question.
Try to be honest.
No, he stood up.
No, the answer to the question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
that is absolutely not true.
You're going to have
true,
gentlemen.
It tells you a lot, doesn't it, about this kind of playground atmosphere and the teacher there, Chris Wallace, trying to keep control of these two toddlers talking over each other.
The country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
that's
than he
all right,
has.
but he does plenty.
Not surprisingly, when you looked at the views that the American people had, having sat through that, it was largely negative.
Disappointed.
It's crazy. Comical.
Train wreck.
Horrible. Thank you, and good night.
In the hours that followed, a poll of debate watchers found that Joe Biden had won the first debate. This wasn't good news for President Trump, who needed a strong performance to reshape the presidential race. Days later, Trump announced that he and the First Lady had contracted COVID-19. As a result, the second presidential debate in Florida was called off.
You know, it's...
My most controversial opinion on the matter is that Donald Trump getting COVID right before the election legitimately carried Biden over the finish line. And I think a lot of people keep telling me that I'm wrong for that. And that literally is like, I think that was the Hail Mary. And I don't think people recognize that. People are like, no, you're wrong about that. Like, blah, 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 blah. People hated Trump, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, Donald Trump didn't lose by like that wide of a fucking margin in a lot of key states. It was because of the COVID response that he lost. But that was a relitigation of how damaging COVID is. Like, it reminded even the naysayers that, like, this shit is real, bro. Okay? Even if you were, like, a hardliner, like an anti-COVID guy, like, COVID isn't fucking shit. COVID ain't shit. It's fake. It's made up. You saw the president get COVID. There is literally nothing that is going to wake people the fuck up.
It's a little tough and you have a temperature and you don't feel good. And then the scarier part is, where's it going?
The final debate took place in Nashville, Tennessee, less than 2 weeks before Election Day. And in this debate, a microphone mute button was introduced to stop the candidates from interrupting each other.
Well, the second debate was much better than the first. Unusually for an American presidential debate, they got into some real substance, a discussion about environmental justice, for example.
I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air.
We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble.
Look at China. How filthy it is. Look at Russia.
This is funny. This is one of the funniest takes because like China is cooking us in EV shit and just like renewable energy in general. Even at that time, they were already fucking pumping it out. But, we're American. We're dumb as fuck. We don't know what the truth is. We don't give a shit. Like everybody always used to be like, China is a major polluter. 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 They're the ones who are fucking responsible for it. And China was like, all right, bet. And of course, there's still a major polluter. You're talking about a fucking million plus population country that like developed over the course of a goddamn decade. Okay. Yeah. Of course, they're going to be a fucking major polluter. Did I say million? No, I meant billion. Yeah. China is just 1 million people.
Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses.
And then into that, you have these really significant political global issues.
Vice President Biden, you've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get that the Korean Peninsula should be a nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American families.
Kristen, they tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet with
10
him.
seconds, President.
They tried to meet with him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like him. He wouldn't do it.
Okay, I got to give him a chance to respond to that before we move on.
And that's okay. You know what, North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good relationship with leaders of other countries is a good thing.
We have a lot of
This low-key was like one of his most powerful takes. I'm not even going to fucking lie over here. And it's not even like, I'm not on some like pro-Jusha shit, like straight up. Him saying like, the fuck do you mean? We have good relationships with like North Korea. That's not a bad thing. We're not in war. That's unimaginably cool for an American president to say, okay? Like that's actually good. And for the most part, he did leave like, he de-escalated military action in the peninsula. He literally fucking left South Korea, North Korea relations to the Korean leadership in general. Things were actually looking a lot better than they are currently. And then the fucking incel president came into power and, you know, doesn't seem like shit's popping off all too well in Korea. It's like one of the few things that he did that was like objectively in line with my worldview that I think was good, that of course Democrats fucking shitted all over him for. So vote for Trump. Yeah, dude, I'm not fucking stupid, okay? I don't have the John Fetterman brain rot. You're so stupid. If you like, that's one aspect of his foreign policy. The entire rest of his foreign policy was unimaginably bad. There's nothing that will quickly make me sound off like I'm fucking Rachel Maddow than coming in here and being like, you should vote for Trump. It is the stupidest, you are the dumbest person on the planet, dude. Okay? Straight up. Straight the fuck up.
A lot of questions to get to.
That's
Your
like
response.
saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe.
Oh, God, I hate you so much, you fucking cadaver, you dumb fuck. Bro, compared Kim Jong-un to Hitler, dude. Every one of our enemies is Hitler. All of our allies are the best. All of our enemies are Hitler. Come on, dude. You are so fucking stupid.
The rest of Europe. Come on.
It was clear that the Democrat Party felt that Joe Biden was the man who could beat Donald Trump.
If you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so. Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to tell her she can't go back to community college?
By the way, this is the classic case of using the existing awfulness that Americans are experiencing on any given basis against the person who is responsible, that all Americans will think is ultimately responsible for. This is no different than Donald Trump turning around and being like, you did Ukraine and you did Israel. Okay? That's basically it. Because like some of the stuff that he's talking about in this situation are like logistical hurdles, right? And that's not something that Donald Trump could have fucking dealt with. Like that's, he's talking about how like there's not enough tires for people. They have to wait. There's like wait lists. And it's like, there's literally nothing. What the fuck was Trump supposed to do? I mean, yeah, he could have taken COVID seriously. That part is 100% true. But it is funny to be like, yeah, no, people are waiting in line for tires because there's not enough tires coming in or whatever. That's not what he's saying, lol. A big part of the reason why prices went up during COVID were logistical issues. Let's be real.
They're the decisions you're making in the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont.
He'd come from a working class area in the northeast of the United States. He had that heritage. He would win in those Rust Belt states they felt. Whatever doubts people may have had.
Chat, I know what he's saying. He's saying that people can't afford shit. Middle class families can't afford shit. And it's like during COVID, at least, like there was legitimately logistical issues. Those logistical issues were literally just oil companies gouging prices to post record profits. What are you talking about? Dude, I'm not defending Donald Trump here, but you're absolutely wrong. What you're talking about is the Biden presidency. Under the Trump administration during COVID, there wasn't a lot of travel happening. I don't know if you remember. Oil was free 99.
Had about his age, for example.
And then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk.
But Biden went into these debates ahead in the polls, ahead in the fundraising, with a much better chance of winning that election, whatever happened on the debate stage. I certainly think Trump didn't do himself any favors with the undecided voters. There will always be those who love Donald Trump and will vote for him, whatever. But in terms of voters, I don't think anything there would have won him votes. And when you look at what happened in November, that was pretty much borne out in the election result.
Let this grim era of demonization in America begin to end here and now.
Certainly, the handling of the pandemic by Trump was a major factor in the whole election campaign and in those debates. And Biden's decision to look like the grown-up following the scientific advice, rightly or wrongly, certainly had an impact on how that election turned out.
Who are you pre-calling to on who's gonna win the debate? I have no fucking idea, dude. We're in a very cool area right now. We're in a very cool era in general where like either of the candidates could potentially die. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of awesome when you think about it. Like oh my God. Okay, the rest of this is lip shit. Oh, he fucking didn't concede. Whatever, dude. It's because he won, okay? It's because he's the real president. You bitch. Also, whichever candidate dies and replaces someone new will win. Also ironic. Hossie, I'm begging you, consider this emote. What? Kamala versus Mike Pence. I don't know where the fuck Felix is. Yes, chatters, I did cover the Bolivia coup, okay?